All right, I want to give an update on my psoriasis. I went on the AIP diet and did that for 30 to 60 days, had some mixed results. Now I am kind of back at the drawing board. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about my history with psoriasis, the AIP diet, the gluten dairy-free diet that I went on, what that ended up resulting in, and then I want to tell you where I'm at now because I do have some actual promising news that'll hopefully help me with my psoriasis symptoms. So a little bit of overview with my psoriasis. I started getting it when I was 18. I'm now 38. You do the math there. I've had it for most of my life now, and it is frustrating and painful, and you know what it's like if you have psoriasis. People always comment about it, they say things, and then once you tell them that you have psoriasis, they always have some kind of magical cure for you. And at this point, it's like, okay, yeah, thank you very much. I've tried everything, rubbing every ointment on my skin and doing the diets as well. So I've got probably 80 to 90 spots on my body at any given time. They are mostly on my legs and lower body. I do get some spots that pop up on my hands, elbows. Very rarely I get them on my face and on my scalp as well. So it's hard to tell, but my scalp does itch and I know it's psoriasis because of the flaking. So that's kind of my background and history with psoriasis. I've tried all the ointments and creams. I've had the steroid creams prescribed by the doctor. Those are great, but they're not a long-term fix. And while they do reduce the symptoms, ultimately they do come back. So for me, it's like, okay, I don't really care that much to just keep rubbing this ointment on my body while it's not actually curing the problem. It's just managing the symptoms, which is fine because sometimes the symptoms are painful. So I wanted to really look at the diet. Some of the science is showing that with these autoimmune diseases, if you look at the diet, there are some cases where they've actually been able to reduce the symptoms or in some cases get rid of them completely. So hearing that, I was hopeful. I got a book called The Autoimmune Fix by Tom O'Brien. I followed the protocol there. You do the AIP diet, it's an elimination diet for 30 to 60 days. You eat a limited amount of foods, cutting out a lot of things that are inflammatory or create that response, okay? So I'm not the expert in that. If you want to know more, read the books and look at the studies there. However, I've just followed the protocol. Then after that, you start reintroducing foods to kind of see how you react to that. The issue I think with psoriasis is it's a little bit behind. So it's not like you eat a food and you instantly get spots of psoriasis that pop up. So it's really a bit more dynamic than that. The diet that I ended up doing for 15 months was just gluten and dairy free. In the book, it kind of points to those as being the main reasons for these problems. So I said, okay, well, I'll just cut those out. So for 15 months, I cut those out. I did have a reduction in the symptoms. So, you know, the redness, the white flaky skin, and the crawling and the pain. You know, it's a condition, psoriasis, that at some times you just hate being in your skin because of the pain and how it feels. It's just uncomfortable. The fabric of your clothing catches on it and it just creates a very uncomfortable situation for those with psoriasis. And then of course you go out in public and people always want to point it out and bring it up, just making you feel even worse about the fact that you have psoriasis. So it did reduce the symptoms there. However, I still have all the spots and they never really went away. Sometimes the spots would go away here, but another spot would pop up over there. So I never really had an overall reduction in the amount of spots. They would just kind of go away here and there. However, at times I would forget that I had psoriasis because I didn't have that feeling. The clothing or whatever I was wearing wasn't aggravating the spots that I had. So that was a major benefit for going on that diet. However, I really wanted more results than that. So I kind of went back to the drawing board and I thought that I needed more science on my side. So I went and got a food sensitivity test. I'll put a link in the description here if you're interested. It's an at-home test. You prick your finger, you drop a couple drops of blood onto a sample card, you send it in, and then it tests foods and sees how you react to those foods. And I actually got back some very interesting results because while I was on that 15 months eating just no gluten or dairy, I was still eating some of these foods that I was very surprised that I reacted to. Now, this is really individual to me, so I would think that if you are interested in this, you would have to do your own test. But I want to share with you my results here and the foods that actually I tested really high for, which was very surprising to me. So I'm going to share my screen with you here so that you can see the foods here that I actually reacted to. So the most reactive food was cow's milk. So that was fine. I wasn't eating cow's milk, and based on the book I read, that was obvious there. The second most reactive foods were cinnamon and vanilla, which is surprising. I didn't really even think about those. And in fact, I made banana pancakes, and that was one of the most common foods that I made. It was one of my treats. Gluten-free banana pancakes. I used gluten-free flour, but then I also used cinnamon and vanilla. Funny enough, the third level is the mild reactivity foods. I also reacted to bananas. So really my treat that I was eating was foods that I reacted to. So that was very surprising. Now, if I'm looking at the mild reactivity foods now, with these results here, they recommend that I cut out these foods, so these 3 classes of food that I reacted to in another elimination diet, then slowly add them back in to see what results I get. So on this here, we've got asparagus, baker's yeast, bananas, bell peppers, brewer's yeast, and the baker's yeast. So that was interesting as well because I was eating gluten-free, dairy-free breads. They still use yeast in those. So that was no benefit to me. I was drinking coffee. I was eating eggs at this point. I reacted to those. And then poppy seeds and tuna. And then I think the worst of them all was actually chicken. I reacted to chicken, and I was eating that pretty much as my main protein of choice. So I could show you the rest of the results here, but really, honestly, this is very specific to me, and so I don't know how much that's going to benefit you. So just take that into consideration here. So now where I'm headed, so I got those results about 12 days ago, about almost 2 weeks ago. So now I've eliminated all of the foods that I've reacted to, and I've also cut out processed foods because I can't be certain if any of those foods are in there as well. So this is where I'm at again. My psoriasis, I still have a lot of spots. You can see here on my legs, I've still got dozens of spots, and that's just on the lower portion of my legs, on my calves. It goes up my legs, up on my back, and my torso as well. So again, anywhere between 80 and 90 spots at any given time. I've counted them at points in my life. However, that's just depressing to count them. But here, so I've got the images now of what my psoriasis is like. I will continue on this diet now that is kind of personalized to me, and I will share those results to see if it might be actually a benefit for people with psoriasis to actually take a food sensitivity test to get those specific results to see if it can actually help you or anyone with psoriasis or an autoimmune disease kind of really create that personalized diet. So there you go. If you'd like to see how that goes, you can feel free to check back in, subscribe if you want. Otherwise, in the next couple months, you can be expecting an update video of how my psoriasis is and how this new specific diet has been working for me. So there you go. Again, my name is Drew. Please feel free to connect with me in the comments and share your story with me. I'll see you in the next one.